Welcome back to Wake Up America Early. Today, the country and people from around the world are mourning the loss of the Turning Point USA founder, Charlie Kirk. The 31-year-old husband and father of two was assassinated Wednesday while speaking at an event at Utah Valley University. The suspect behind the assassination of the conservative youth leader currently remains at large, and the FBI and Utah law enforcement are now asking for your help. Joining me now for more on this is retired supervisory special agent for the FBI, Scott Duffey, and former FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force, Tom Smith. Gentlemen, good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning.
Scott,
Good morning.
Good morning. Scott, I'd like to get your initial reaction to this horrible news, as well as where we stand right now with respect to the investigation.
Yeah, so tragedy. You have a very popular voice, you have a very conservative voice that was silenced by a gunman. And it seems reflective of where we're at today with very high tempers within every aspect of our culture, not only politics, but in everything with regards to freedom of speech and thought. So here we have, I believe, we're at a very good point, I believe, in the investigation. I feel, especially as of last night with the press conference, it was very clear that both the federal, state, and local government investigating this is on one page.
Mm-hmm. Tom, what happens next here? Because the FBI and local law enforcement has received about over 7,000 tips, about approximately the same number as the Boston Marathon bombing. And we know there is many leads on who the assassin could be. We have no idea where he is right now or his name potentially. But how can the public help get involved?
Well, I think the FBI is doing exactly what they should do. You know, you run the case to a certain point, but then you get the public involved, because I've said it so many times, the police can't be everywhere, but the public can be. So the more information they get and the new images that come out, they have to get it out to the public immediately, because they can be everywhere. And someone's going to eventually know him. Something's going to ring a bell in someone's head of recognizing this individual, and that's how they're going to get them. But you need to continuously update the public with new information that they have, especially images that they're getting.
Yeah, and to that point too, Scott, I mean, do you think the FBI and local law enforcement have his name right now? They're not releasing it, as well as what can we learn from the potential DNA evidence that we saw on the scene, the handprint on the roof, as well as the gun that we might have?
Yeah, it's anybody's guess with regards to the name, but I feel comfortable that the FBI and the Utah agencies would not have put out video as well as stills looking for the public's assistance if they didn't have a name. They didn't need a name, so they can go ahead and then pursue him as a fugitive and put him into custody. With regards to the DNA or the potential for DNA, I think that is their next logical step with regards to the IGG, the genealogy investigation, if in fact through the public they don't get a name in order to put this to rest.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and given that the suspect is still at large, Tom, should President Trump or other public figures be on alert? Because we saw he was walking in broad daylight in a community right there, and he is very close in terms of where the event was taking place. He could have been very close to the airport or have fled. So your thoughts?
Yeah, everyone, any public figure, you know, on the conservative side needs to be aware of this, because the way this individual thinks, he's not the only one. There's many of them, unfortunately, like this out there, where their default button is violence. So anyone of a prominent nature needs to be on alert and needs to, you know, uptick their security when they're doing these events like this, especially out in the open, which many of them do. You know, he's not the only one. There's many of them out there, and they really need to step up their security, because this is a dangerous time, as Scott said in the beginning, and everyone needs to be aware of it.
Yeah. Well, the weapon this shooter used is believed to have been recovered. So, Scott, why would the suspect leave it? And is it fully possible to not get a fingerprint off it, or something that could lead to his name, as I mentioned before? But ultimately here, with respect to this individual, it seems as if maybe that because he left the gun, he's not a skilled sharpshooter or someone who has a background that would indicate such?
Yeah, I do believe he has proficiency in training with that weapon. So, I mean, this was a long distance shot. What education he has beyond that, professionalism, probably little with regards to the whole aspect. Not a professional hit by any means. This is somebody who targeted somebody, but had some proficiency in the weapon. Why the weapon left behind? It wasn't left on top of the building, so he did intend to take it with him. Why leave it in the woods? Was it part of his, hey, I'm leaving yet another breadcrumb clue? Possibly. I mean, this was done broad daylight with lots and lots of people. So he had a message to deliver.
Yeah, and as far as security measures go, we saw President Trump at Yankee Stadium last night. But Tom, do you foresee events being held outside stopping or changing?
That's going to be tough, when you, especially with the president. President Trump does what he wants. So that's
right.
going to be an interesting, dynamic what he does going forward. But I think people that don't have a Secret Service detail surrounding him on the ground and in the air need to really rethink what they're doing, at least for the moment. Let things calm down a little bit before they just jump out into the public and do these large-scale events again. I'm not telling you to stop because that's what they want. We can't let them get away with the pressures of stopping people from talking out in public and getting their viewpoint across. So maybe just for a moment until maybe this individual's in custody and then resume what they're doing.
Utah Governor Spencer Cox reminded people the death penalty is still legal in his state.
I want to make it crystal clear right now to whoever did this, we will find you. We will try you. And we will hold you accountable to the furthest extent of the law. And I just want to remind people that we still have the death penalty here in the state of Utah.
Yeah. With the governor saying this, Scott, do you think it puts any fear in the suspect or change how he'll go about blending in with the public? And if you could get into the psyche of an individual who would carry out such an act, your perspective?
Yeah, this subject obviously did what he did without fear of retribution. So this is intended to deter others for following in his footsteps.
Thank you, Scott Duffey and Tom Smith, for your insights this morning.
Thank you.